keeping my fingers crossed as we get started because I'm having some hiccups lately with StreamYard. Hey, good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, depending on where in the world you're watching from. My name is Brenda Meller. I'm your host for this amazing series I like to call Enthusiastically Self-Employed, where I bring on a variety of amazing people to share stories about different aspects of business and marketing and LinkedIn. And today I am joined by Heather Coleman-Voss. Hey, Heather, how are you doing today?
Doing well. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a delight to have you. You've been in the hot seat, so to speak, here with me before, and it's been a little bit, but we've always remained, in contact with each other on social media. So it's really a delight to have you back in. Before we jump into the conversation, Heather, I want to welcome our audience. If anyone is watching this right now, could you please do me a favor? Because it lets me know the stream is working. Just put a hello or a hi or something in comments. If we were in a live audience, I'd be tapping the microphone saying, can you hear me in the back? And you guys would give me a thumbs up. In the live streaming world, we don't know if the live stream is actually picking up until we see comments that are coming in. So just say hello for Metro Detroit or hi, Heather, hi, Brenda, something in there that lets us know the live stream's picking up. We know there's a little bit of a delay. It's probably about 20 to 30 seconds from the time I say that until the time the audience hears it. So I'll let them continue to drop their comments in. And while we're waiting for that, Heather, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself? I know there's some people that are watching that maybe aren't familiar with you. So tell us your name, what do you do, and who do you help?
Okay, great. Well, I'm Heather Coleman-Voss, longtime friend of Brenda's. I think we met in Twitter back in like 2008 or something like that. So I'm happy to be here. I own Career Savvy Coaching, which is a career leadership and trauma recovery business. I am the primary and only coach that you would be working with. And what I try to do is I try to help people take what they've done and then really look forward into their future. What do they want to do? And making sure that you move into a place where you are in a healthy culture and that you're being paid what you're worth. And so that's like a really big part of what we do, is not just get a job, but like really do something great for yourself, your future, if you have a family, etc. And some of that includes executive leadership coaching. Some of that includes asking for promotion, salary negotiation, all kinds of things like that. But then also the toxic workplace is a big part of what I do through that process, and recovering from trauma, establishing boundaries, narcissistic abuse recovery, and other services like that.
That's great. And it sounds like such a worthy and worthwhile cause, the work that you're doing, Heather. So thank you for all that you do. I know that you're always busy. I always see you're posting your success stories about your clients, which really just makes my heart glow. So really delighted. And I was thinking about this today, like, I feel like we've known each other. I'm now putting us into the category of forever. I don't remember a time when I don't know you. I know it was pre-pandemic. And I think it was when we were both corporate employees or employees of organizations. And now both of us have become enthusiastically self-employed. We love the work that we do.
Yes.
So we're going to be talking today about rebranding your website. And little backstory here. So I mentioned earlier that Heather and I have been, we've known each other for years, and I've been keeping tabs on her from social media. And we're always supporting each other back and forth in the different platforms that we're on. And I can't even remember what it was, Heather, if you promoted or if you did a post about the fact that your website was updated, or if it was something you posted a link and I went over. Mm-hmm. Do you remember what it was that prompted me to say, hey, we should talk about this? Did you do a post about it?
Yeah. So we decided that my clients, after a while, you get some common questions. You're like, I don't think the website is maybe like explaining everything that I do as well as it could be. And so one of the things we decided to do was do drop-down menus so that people could get more of an explanation, but realizing that most people are probably looking on their phone. We want to make sure that they're not scrolling forever to get the services. And so I think I took a snapshot of the menu and posted it, and you were like, hey, do you want to come on? And I was like, so here we are. Yeah. Just talking. I was like, here's the updated site in case you want to take a look.
Yeah. And Heather and I both have dogs. Fun fact. I have one dog. If I could get my husband worked up to two, we'd have two, but I have one. And I know you have a couple of co-working dogs with you in the home there too. And, and so when I saw your website, I was like, oh, we should come on and talk about it, because I was kind of curious, like, what prompted you to change it? So it sounds like one of the things was making it more mobile friendly, so people didn't have to go through scrolling and going on the website. Now, when you did the process, did you also go through everything top to bottom, or did you just copy and paste and put everything on a new platform?
No, we stayed inside of Squarespace, and then my daughter is actually a communications professional, and so she's also my web and social media person. And so I'm very fortunate to have her working with me on that. And so she helps with the rewriting and the voice and all of that. But we went through it together and just kind of freshen up everything. And in the process of doing that, realized there's more to do.
Yeah.
So, like we were just saying, Brenda and I were talking about this earlier, where I'm a firm believer that like your resume, your website, your portfolio, your social media presence, your brand on LinkedIn, whatever you're doing, just put it out there and improve from there, because otherwise it's really difficult to start. There is no perfect, and there really shouldn't be if you're intending on expanding your business or your career. And so now I have a list. I'm still kind of old school with my post-its of things that need to be done on the website to continue to improve it. Yes, I love them because you can throw them away when you're done. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, so we just decided to refresh, and I just wanted to make sure that people, because as the business is growing, I'm adding more services as I see needs in my clients. So I
Mhm.
want to make sure that they had a better understanding of, everything that we offer.
Mhm.
And I feel like this is probably the fifth or sixth revision over the probably since the pandemic
Yeah.
that we've done. So
That's good. And there might be people watching today, Heather, who are just getting started on this journey of having their own business, creating their own website. There might be other people that are like, gosh, I really haven't updated my website since I started my business 5, 10, 15 years ago. Is it something, and you said it's kind of iterative, it's something you're changing like all the time, but should we be, do you think at any certain time frame, like taking a step back and looking at our website and doing a refresh? Should we go no more than 5 years, for example? Or do you think, is it really dependent on the business and their services?
gosh, my own personal feelings on this is that
Mhm.
with as rapidly as technology
Mhm.
changes, we should probably be keeping that in mind when we're looking at our own websites. Like my old design, which was not that long ago, was just brutal compared to what we see today. And so I think that just keeping in mind that the more sophisticated the platforms are getting, the more outdated we can look if we aren't, just aware of that. And I just also think that most of the professionals that I know are self-aware, are committed to self-growth, and emotionally intelligent people who are likely adding into their services in ways that they might not even realize until they start talking to some clients. So I'm fortunate enough that some of my clients, they come back to me. So some of them I've known for many years, and I've asked a couple of them, can you look at this for me and kind of
Mhm.
tell me what you think is missing? And so I've gotten some feedback from them as well to help put a little perspective. I
Oh, I
see
love that.
that Dr. Brian Grossman is here.
Yeah. Do you know Dr. Brian yet? Are you connected with him yet?
No, but I'm happy to see that we're getting out there, that people can hear us. So,
Yeah. No, it's great. I'm just throwing some comments as I see him, and I'm going to also put some key takeaways as we're having this conversation. And I thought it was a brilliant tip right there. Ask your clients for feedback on your website because, and I remember this back in my corporate career when I did a lot of copywriting. At some point, your brain sees what you remember seeing before. They
yeah,
don't really see the words from, if things have changed. So it's like you can't give it a fresh perspective because you're looking at it over and over again, and you know what's on the homepage, and you know what the secondary web page is. So I love this tip, asking your clients for feedback on your website. And I know you have people in your network, Heather, that are like your superstar clients. I mean, Brian's one for me, so I'm going to pull him back up on screen. If I asked Brian to look at my homepage and give me any feedback, Brian would be candid with that feedback. And he's not just going to say, it's great, it's wonderful. I think it's not bad. But I think the point there is that you want to ask your clients for feedback, but you don't want to just get attaboys or attagirls on your homepage. You want to get feedback, right? So do you
yeah.
give them guidelines like here's specifically what I'm looking for, or do you just kind of ask for general
You know,
feedback? What are your
it
thoughts?
started kind of organically, but it is probably something I could add into a form or something. That's probably a good idea. Like if maybe a wrap up sort of form that they could answer. But I think what I was just doing is asking, like, because the one question I would keep getting is, you offer all these services, do I have to pay extra if I want trauma recovery, or if I want to do
Mhm.
boundary building, or I have a toxic situation at home, do I have to pay extra for help with that? And I
Mhm.
was like, no, because it just depends on what they want. Like, what do you want? We will customize a plan for you. And it was just constantly getting asked the same question. I'm like, well, obviously this is a me issue, right? Like this is something that we have not described fully enough. And so I did ask a couple of my clients, couldn't you just look at my different pages and just tell me, what do you think is missing? And one of them was like, why don't you have blogs up anymore?
Oh,
I was
okay.
like, ooh, I guess I need to put my blog page back up and start writing again. And so I added that, so there's things like that. But I like the idea of maybe formalizing that a little bit for some people to take a look at.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
And there was something you mentioned earlier. I'm just pulling on some threads of things as you mentioned earlier, when you're refreshing your website and you're updating and making sure that you have consistency and your services, there's accuracy. And you also talked about your voice. Now tell me, Heather, the voice that you are using on your website today in 2024, how does that compare to the voice that you were using on your website when you first launched your business?
It's a lot less corporate professional, like, I'm not, I think that the older that I've gotten, the more I've realized, and we've talked about this for years, but authenticity really is the key. And I really want people to get to know me. Like if you're going to invest this kind of money, you're investing in, there has to be an element of trust at the foundation. And I want them to get to know me. And to that point, I also just took a series of pictures with, I've got tons of different glasses. And so they're going to see me on there with different crazy glasses. Like, I want people to know when you can be comfortable when we work together. And so over the years, I think my voice has become, what I'm going for is knowledgeable, friendly, empathetic, and understanding, and those are the kind of things, and a little bit funny. I want to have some fun with them. So that's kind of the voice, but also that I do have the expertise that they need. So you can have expertise and be fun to work with, right? You can do both things. So that's what I'm trying to convey now.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I'm talking right now, I'm thinking, do they want to see the website? I think we're going to show your website. I'm going to pull it up on screen because as you're talking, I always kind of follow, like in my head, what am I wondering now? Like, because my audience might be wondering the same thing. Like, let's see the website because you're talking about rebranding your website. Let's show the website. And by the way, if anyone wants to look it up, let me just drop the web address on screen: careersavvycoaching.com. And you can see here, I mean, I love these visuals of you, the photography. This is totally Heather, this picture, and it's up close and personal. And what I love about this post too, Heather, is you said you're building authenticity, you're building trust with people. And I think there's something that's to be said when you're looking at the camera, you're almost leaning in a little bit. We see your face very boldly in the frame here, as opposed to being, super far back where you're detached from us. I feel like I'm sitting in a coffee shop across the table and you're leaning in to talk to me at this point.
Yay, that's the whole goal. I'm so excited to hear you say that.
And I think one other point I heard you just say too is that when you were defining your voice, you're always thinking of the language, the copy on your website, how you're describing yourself and your services through these categories. What were those again? You said authenticity, and there's a couple other words that you said in there.
Empathy, empathetic, authentic, knowledgeable, and fun.
Yeah.
Is kind of what I'm going for.
Speaking of fun, I was poking around the website last night getting ready for the interview, and I said, meet the team. And I'm like, gosh, does Heather have like people working with her now? And I was like, wow, I got to check this out. And I'm going to click on this right now, and we'll get this page to load up. Look at this. Meet the team. So tell us about your team members on here.
So you saw one of them before we got started. So the boys are always in and out of the office, and my fiance also works from home. So like they have us home all the time. So they're very used to us being around. I got Cooper over here right now. So they're going to be part of the whole thing. And I think it's cute because my clients will be like, oh, well, look at my kid, or look at my dog sitting over here. And, but the reality of working from home, and I think a lot of people are more used to this post-pandemic, is the dogs are going to make noise. And I want people to be aware. I mean, I've got pretty good soundproofing, I think, in my system, but still. So Leo Edmond is our barker. So therefore, he is the director of communications and audience engagement.
Let me see if I can make this a little larger here. There we go.
Milo Thomas, we call him the heart of the home. He's our lover boy. He's the one who's always noticing if something's, is something wrong, or is everybody okay? So that's why he's company culture and client success. And then Koopy is our director of community relations and brand messaging, because he's just here always listening. So he knows what's going on. So
I think that is so clever. And then underneath, I didn't click on this last night, but where it says Aubrey photo. So what happens when we click on here? Is this the person who took the headshots for your team members?
Yes, and he happens to be my fiance. He owns two companies. One's a real estate photography company. Three. He owns sound too, and then he does the professional photos for events and for people and stuff. So we thought it would be kind of fun to show some cross branding there.
I think that is absolutely brilliant. I don't think I've seen a website yet with team members, your furry feline team members on here. You've inspired me though, because Pepper, my dog Pepper, is an honorary member of Meller Marketing. She's our official mascot. And I have to think now of a very creative title, because I love how you said Leo's the barker. So that's the director of communications. I love how these are like, there's business elements, but going back to like, come into the day, how is this relevant to career coaching? It's showing you your personality. It's humanizing you. You are a dog owner. There's probably other people that you're working with that are dog owners as well. So I think there's something to be said, and I'll pull us back up on screen here. Something to be said with just having some fun on your website and making it engaging and entertaining as we go through.
And they're really a big part of my life. Like I love that. Like here's their coffee mug, bunch of no-nos. So it's also that, I genuinely love them so much. And I also wanted to, if I was going to have a meet the team, I decided, well, let's go ahead and put links to the two rescues where we got them from, and try to throw some traffic their way too. So yeah, there's a couple things wrapped up in that. I love that you picked up on that, because I'm not sure how many people click on it, but I thought for the people that do, they might enjoy that.
Yeah, I think it's great. It's a nice little shout out. And you and I are both big on shout outs, like supporting people, shining the spotlight on others. I refer to it as, social media karma. When we're doing it on social media, we shine the spotlight on others. We bring others in. And that's part of the reason I bring people like Heather onto my show, Enthusiastically Self-Employed, because it's not just about, my perspectives, but it's about other people's perspectives as well. And while her focus is on career coaching, it's the website design prompted this conversation for today. And these are things that we all do when we are self-employed. We do periodically have to go through and refresh our website. And I love the point that you made earlier when I asked the question, how different is your voice from where you started to where it is today? And you said, when I first started, it was very corporate. Mine was the same way. When I first launched my website, it was very corporate. And I remember, Heather, when I first was launching my brand and I was picking out my colors and everything, I showed one of my friends my presentation deck, and it was with pink because I like the color pink. And she said, that's too girly. You're not going to get any male clients with that. And by the way, LinkedIn's color is blue. So shouldn't you do it like LinkedIn? Because that's really what we know you for. And I sat on that for like a day, and I was really just kind of devastated. I'm like, I'm going to have to go with blue. And I said, no, I'm not. I did some research on color psychology, and pink is approachable and things like that. So talk to us about, colors and the things that you've chosen on your website, and what could you share as tips for people that might be thinking about colors and using this rep?
Well, gosh, it's funny because now you're saying that, and I'm remembering this because I took mine full time about a year or so after you took yours.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You were part of it. What year did you start?
So I started my LLC in 2016, but I left corporate at the end of 2017, and I was full-time Meller Marketing in January of 2018.
Okay, so I went part-time. I had mine for like 10 years, but I got my LLC officially in 2018, and I started mine part-time, and then I took it full-time in fall of 2018. So we were, but I was watching what you were doing, and I totally agree. I think that if your branding colors don't resonate with you, then you're going to have some dissonance, right?
Yeah.
Some brand dissonance. When my clients, even if we do a teeny tiny bit of color in a very specific way, so it doesn't interfere with the systems out there, when I'm helping them get started, the one thing I always ask them is, what color do you wear the most? What color do you have the most in your house? That's the first thing I want to look at to see, now, does this resonate with you? If it doesn't, like you said, you were devastated. There's a reason you were devastated.
Yeah.
Right? That wasn't you. And so that's kind of what we're looking at. But I do think that if you're trying to go for warmth and engagement and things like that, there are different colors than if you're trying to be bold and you're trying to, I guess it depends on, are you selling product? Are you selling services?
Mm-hmm.
That type of thing. But if you're a service provider, I really do think that you have to look at what you like the most. Recently on my site and in my branding, I talked to my daughter about this and I said, I feel like it needs a little something fresher in there. Like it's missing something that indicates growth. I wanted more of the growth side of things, not just like recovering from things, but since we're pushing people into the future, like where's the growth? So it's starting to show up on the website. Like she's probably working on it like tonight. I mean, it's an ongoing process, but there's like a mossy green that we've added into certain pieces. And I feel like that sort of represents growth and it's kind of future oriented. It's kind of, a clean like feeling to that. So that's why we've added that. But I mean, I honestly think you probably know more about the branding colors than I do.
Yeah, I mean, I came from corporate marketing, but I was never a graphic designer. I was working with the designers or the agencies on helping through that process, but it wasn't like my core area. I was poking around your website as you were talking, so I'm like, I was trying to see if the mossy green was on there. But then I found this other section. This is at the bottom of your website homepage, and you've got testimonials in here. Oops, I just shifted it. I think, if I'm not mistaken, you also use these testimonials on social media. Am I remembering this correctly?
Yeah.
So talk to us about that.
She pulls them from like Google reviews or LinkedIn at the, everyone has an area where you can open up recommendations at the bottom of your LinkedIn. And so she pulls them from there and then she creates these little testimonials. And then occasionally every couple months, she just refreshes them. Mm-hmm. So she developed that with the branding and the logo. I'm almost thinking about updating my logo, by the way. I've been looking at it and thinking, I think it's time to update. It seems like it's time for a refresh. So
you know what I love about your logo is, and I'm going to pull it up to the top of the page so we can see this. It's like two interlocking C's, but it also makes an S in the middle of it. I just think that is such a clever, it's such a simple element, but it's such a clever way of having a brand avatar as a part of your logo. And I know you,
because the way they designed it, you could see the S in the white, like in the
right.
I'm gonna keep that. I feel like it just needs a little, I don't know, just a little perking up, a little softening or something. But I love that. Yeah, that's exactly what I asked for. And the guy I used years ago when we started this, he was really good about that.
Yeah.
So thank you for saying that. That's good. Good feedback.
And for me too, when I first created my business, I mean, when I first did my LLC in 2016, it was a side hustle. Then when I started leaning into it in the end of 2017, when I was starting to leave corporate, I created a logo in canva.com, free website. You can go and search for logos and then you find one that you kind of like. And I always tell people, change something, change the font, change the color, do something. Don't just change this, use the standard. But I did my original logo was, canva.com. I'm going to pull my website up so you can see my logo as we're talking right now. And it was, I used, and if you look at my website, it's like a dotted outline of the Meller Marketing logo. And I did that intentionally because I like the dotted line reminded me of like clipping coupons or clipping an article that you want to save for later because there's value associated with it. So I liked that clippable effect. Now, when I first created mine in Canva, it was okay, but I was like, just something a little bit off about it. And when I had enough budget, I'm always like really trying to manage my expenses and income and whatnot. When I had some more money available, I reached out to one of my former employees who was a graphic designer. And I said, can you refresh my logo for me? And I threw some money at her. I'm like, do something great with it. And she came up with this whole identity and Montserrat font, bolding the Meller as a part of it. And it kept some of the same elements. But then we iterated, kind of off of that. And I think that's something we do with our website as well. You start where you are. And I think that's what I'm hearing you say, Heather, start where you are. And it's okay to change it again later and then change it again if you need to. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. And I think it's just, there's some messaging under there that's important too, because like the work that we do is we are trying to get people to evolve and grow and get to that next, place in their life, their career, their business. And so like when we're modeling the same behavior is really important, right? Like, so we do as we teach. And basically I'm more looking at like what you did with your, I want to refresh the fonts and stuff like that and just like have a little bit more fun with it.
Yeah, little tweaks, and throw it at an expert. Have them figure out. Like, I always love that when I was working in corporate, I would say, I don't know what I don't like it. I want it to change. Here's what I like about it, and here's kind of what I want it to do differently. I want some different colors. I want some different nuances, and then let the graphic designer, because that's what they do
They're
best.
amazing.
Right? Let them
Yeah.
have at it. Speaking of, reaching out and asking others, I'm going to reach out to our community right now, and I'm going to ask if you'd like to join the conversation with us. If you have any questions you'd like to ask Heather, we're talking today about rebranding your website, and we always go into some different directions as well. If you have any questions for Heather, please drop them into comments. And Heather, you know that the delay occurs about 20 seconds or so until they comment or say they hear us, and then the comments will start coming in. So I'm going to drop a couple of comments that we've gotten along the way in the show here. Christy is joining us from Florida. Hopefully everything is safe where you are, Christy. I know there's been a multitude of storms and hurricanes and things passing through that area. So hopefully you're safe. We're so glad that you're joining us here today. Let's see. Dr. Brian is saying, any tips on wording clarity for what I do? I'm trying to clarify mindset and growth and emotions. So maybe thinking about your own perspective, Heather, how did you become more clear and more crisp on the words from your site, and advice for Brian there?
Oh gosh. Well, I don't know how all the people here feel about AI. I think it's a wonderful support system. I don't think it should be a creator. But one of the things that I found it's really great is I use a couple of different ones. I use Perplexity. I use ChatGPT just for like resume keyword ideas and stuff like that. And then I also use I think it's Claude. I've been using a little bit testing out on writing, and I just ask it, can you smooth this out for me? That's all I really say. Here's what I've got. I need some smoothing out. And if, and that kind of helps, or I'll say, this is what I've got, but I want my voice to be a little bit more like this. What are some ideas you have? And then I snatch up a couple keywords or phrases, and then I can roll that back in. If you are the creator, I think AI is great. If you're trying to get AI to create all your things, you're not going to have the proper context. But like with what you just wrote right there, I've been working on this for like 9 months. So training my AIs, I would say clarify mindset, growth, and emotions, and then give it some keywords like in what way, and then let it give you some ideas that you can then take and then go and utilize for you want to use that as a foundation that you can bounce off of. But as far as wording and clarity for what you do, if you have people like Brenda or other folks in your life that you trust, I would ask them, does this describe me well? And if it doesn't, what do you think it needs? And just a couple people can really give you a big avenue of growth that you can follow. And sometimes people just see, like Brenda was saying, our brain knows what it wants to see. So yeah, I would ask a couple of people for feedback as well.
Yeah. And along that lines too, Brian, what I would suggest is like, just, ask a few people, can I get your thoughts on something, and just describe for them, give them your 1-minute introduction, really 1 minute or less, describing what you do, and then ask them to summarize it back to you.
Oh, great idea. I love that.
Then they'll hear what did you say versus what did they hear?
Yes.
Right. And even better, Brian, would be, don't just ask anyone, ask your ideal client, ask one of your current clients or a prospect that you're working with. Can I just get some feedback on something for you? I'm going to tell you what I do, and then I want you to just repeat back or tell me what you heard.
That's a great idea. That is a great idea. I love that.
And related to that, I see Royce is saying, talk or write like you're at a barbecue. And that's probably what's going to happen with that example, Brian. If you were to say, Heather, I'm going to describe what I do, and then I want you to like tell me what I just said. And I think like that's what we would do if we were at a barbecue. We would like, oh, this is what I do. And then you go, oh, so you kind of do X, Y, and Z, right? So I like that point. Anything else on that, Heather?
I love that advice. Honestly, that's exactly right. Like if we were hanging out at an event, or if we were hanging out at your house or whatever, like this is what you want your client, how you want your clients to feel. That's really good advice.
Yeah. Good. And I see Michelle, she said she was frozen earlier, and then Melanie jumped in and said, try refreshing. I don't know if the issue is StreamYard or LinkedIn or the baton being dropped between the two of them. I've had a solid stream throughout. I haven't had any hiccups today. So I think we're good. And thank you, Melanie, for helping Michelle. I just really want to thank that. Thank you for that. Nancy is watching us today. Hey, Nancy. She says she loves the pups. I'm guessing she probably has some pets at home too. But yeah, there you go. All right. Michelle also had a question. She said, in addition to a website update, ooh, this is a really good one. What other assets do you strongly recommend? LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, by strongly meaning which are the top priority? And I'm guessing it might vary based on your business, but what are you thinking, Heather, as you tackle your website, what other marketing assets do you need to look at refreshing as well?
I think back in the day we were all like on everything, and I think you have to kind of figure out like where are you most comfortable and where are your people. So like talking about your ideal client, as an example, I will work with young people, but my ideal clients are usually in the 40, 45 plus bracket. That's like my sweet spot. I love working with people in that age. So guess where they are? They're on Facebook. So Facebook is my primary. But I do have content that goes out on Instagram. Obviously, I'm on LinkedIn. And then TikTok is that's my second favorite platform. Yeah. My understanding is I should be on YouTube a lot more, and I have not been. So that's part of my January 2025 launch, is we're going to be launching a more serious YouTube channel, because YouTube is really excellent. But I don't think it's possible to be great on all the platforms. Like where is your ideal client? Who is your ideal client? Where are they likely to be? And then that's usually a good place to start. But
yeah, that's a good point. One thing I learned, this is from Vicki O'Neill. I'll give her a shout out in a second in the LinkedIn thread here, but I've learned different video marketing tips from Vicki, one of which was like create the content once and then post it to multiple places. And I always hear Vicki, I hear you in my head now, Vicki, when I do one video, and I'm doing like walks with Pepper as I'm filming. Now it's getting colder and I'm starting to wear gloves in the morning, so I'm not doing as many videos as I used to. But I do 15-second clips, 4 or 5 or 6 of them, and then I stitch it together with CapCut, and then I publish it, usually with captions on the platform. So I usually go to Instagram, sometimes to TikTok and YouTube. And I got to remember, sometimes to do this, but like if you're posting to TikTok, how they're like post to YouTube shorts at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's it does take a little bit of thinking, but I love your point of you can't be good on all platforms everywhere, and you're really going to spread yourself thin. Going back to, we were talking about like what's your favorite color earlier, and that's going to resonate with you as well as with your audience. I think it's also where you can find your customers, but where you get joy and satisfaction from your platforms as well. And what I heard you say was TikTok, you really enjoy being on that platform.
I love it. Yeah.
Do you get clients from TikTok, or is it more just enjoyment for you, or what would you say?
Well, my TikTok started out more on the abuse and recovery side of things and the DV side of stuff. So, but I've taken a break from TikTok for some personal reasons with long COVID, and I'm getting my energy back now. And so when I come back in, I think I'm going to broaden out the brand on TikTok to include everything I do. And so because I know I've been told a million times, I have 100,000 followers over there. So I should be doing more of the other things that I do on that platform. But you're right. We take the video, we put it on Instagram. And then we also put like more specialized little posts for Instagram. And then that gets posted onto Threads, which Threads is great. I just haven't had the time to learn it. It's a little bit of a different platform, but there's a lot of people on Threads. So, but I love, you're right. Multi-purposing is key. Otherwise you're going to be exhausted.
Yeah. And we'll do one final question here from Nancy. And Nancy is asking, what comes first, your LinkedIn profile update or your website? What's the best way to sync them up? Same photo, same language, or different? I'll add some thoughts, but I want to start with Heather. Any thoughts there on what you update first?
I always go for LinkedIn first. I just think that it's a live platform that's moving all day, every night, So I think that your LinkedIn, people are almost automatically going to go see if you're on LinkedIn. Then from there, and I mean, y'all, I don't know if you've seen all the changes in LinkedIn in the last week. It is unbelievable. And for job seekers, and I'm sure you've seen a lot for businesses as well, but LinkedIn is giving us more options than it ever has to draw people toward our website and our content. So I would say LinkedIn first, website second, but like Brenda was saying, multi-purpose some of that content. You've got great ideas in your LinkedIn that you can pull over to your website. And then when you're saying to sync them up, if you are a premium member, it will literally give you options to show your website right underneath your headline. There's the services page that they've upgraded lately. I think it was a couple months ago that started to show up right on your profile. There's featured, where you can put your articles, your videos, posts. You can feature things, your work. And then I would say for me, I try to use the same language. I do think that I need a little help on being my Facebook self on LinkedIn, because my Facebook self is me. So I think that LinkedIn, I still have a teeny little bit of that corporate leftovers that I'm trying to shake off. But I think that being yourself across the board is absolutely the best idea. But I will defer to you, the LinkedIn expert.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna say I agree with what Heather said, but I'm gonna tell you honestly, Nancy, I think when we get this question, sometimes we're stuck in, what do they call it, paralysis analysis. Like, what do I do first, LinkedIn or my website? And then I'm not gonna do either, because both feel too overwhelming. Just pick one and do a little bit of work on it, and then go to the other one. Like, don't feel like you have to be 100% updated on your LinkedIn profile before you start on your website. Or if you want to start with your website, don't feel like your website has to be 100% perfect and accurate before you start on your LinkedIn. I think your point of syncing them up, you want to make sure that there's some brand continuity. There's no broken links coming from LinkedIn to your website. I mean, ultimately, on social media, we're living on rented real estate. So if we're going to be driving people from LinkedIn to our website, we want to make sure that all the links and navigation paths are accurate, the links are working, things like that. And then once they get to the website, is there a clear call to action or a path for them to do business with you? Like, don't make it hard for people to do that. In terms of photography, I love your point, Heather, of like, it is a little different on LinkedIn than you are on Facebook and some of the other sites. But I think the expectation on LinkedIn, it is a professional networking site.
True.
We expect to see a more corporate looking headshot photo initially. Now, as we get further down into the rabbit hole and we learn more about Heather Coleman-Voss, we're expecting to see more of your personality. We're going to start to see more of that coming up. So I think there should be similarity. I think there should be current photos. And I think you recently updated your LinkedIn headshot photo, didn't you?
Yeah, I just did it like the other day. Yeah. Because we're trying to put more of the glasses pictures on everything. So
yeah, I love it. But then you've also got a bit of a glimpse into your brand methodology and your philosophy. But still, like air, I'll rise. I mean, that speaks to me about the services that you do, and I think that's going to resonate with people. So it's okay to use some slight variations, but I think it should all be part of the same brand family, so to speak. Right.
Agreed. And that cover photo will change. I'll go back to my Career Savvy and then come back. But I agree. I think that every once in a while, it's nice for people to be able to see a little bit more about, what's below that level.
Yeah. Love it. Well, while we're on LinkedIn, I want to just invite people, if they want to pop over to your LinkedIn profile, HeatherColemanVoss.com. Coleman, for people that are listening on the podcast later. And as they visit your profile, Heather, are you open to people connecting with you? If so, do you have any specific instructions for them?
No, please feel free to connect. And you will automatically, if you message me, you're going to get a bounce back message because of the spam issues on LinkedIn. But I will absolutely, it'll direct you, if you want to get in touch with me, where to go. So that I'm able to get back to you. And then absolutely love, I'm laughing at all of our mutual connections right now.
Yeah, right. 7. Oh my gosh, 7. I don't know if you can see that number, but it says 728 mutual connections. Like, I think that's the most ever that I've ever seen anybody.
No, I didn't realize it either.
Yeah. Wow, look at that. Amazing. And then if they want to learn more about doing business with you, should we go to your website, careersavvycoaching.com?
Well, you know what? If we want to go back to her question just very quickly,
sure.
There is obviously a book an appointment, but if you scroll down a little bit further, just to show people, here's the service page that you can have. So if you're not quite ready for your website, but you know what kind of services, this is a great way to let people know that you're available for services. And you can also start pulling some of this content and then get it onto your website. And then, there's featured articles right below that. So when you're ready to start blogging or, any sort of post, videos, work, you can put that there. So these are some ways to redirect people. But yeah, if you wanted to get to my website, you would just ask to book an appointment. And I believe that will take you right to my Calendly to book an appointment.
Okay. So we just click on that button right at the top.
Yeah.
And there's a couple different variations of what LinkedIn allows us to do at the top of our profile. If you use that book an appointment like Heather's doing, I think this is the one. Let me just double check if it follows you around as you're posting. I think that's the one that sits at the top of your. Yeah, so right underneath her headline, it says book an appointment here. Now, I've used the version, I'm going to show you my profile on screen right now. I've used the version which is allowing for a custom website link. So right now I'm promoting my upcoming free live webinar, getting clients for your coaching consulting business. So I have this custom link at the top, which says free webinar getting clients, which when you click on it takes you to the website. There's a couple different variations of how that process works. As we wrap up though, Heather, could you remind us if people are interested in working with you, what are the services that you offer?
So the services, if you go right over there. So I do a couple of different things. A lot of times though, we customize and people pull from the menu as they need. So you don't even have to, when I say customize, you're not locked into anything because we might be ready to do some job search and you realize that you have some issues with self-confidence going on right now where you don't think that you qualify for these various jobs. And so then I'm going to take a look and go, okay, do we have some inner critic, inner voice work we need to do? So that's what I mean by customize. So you're not locked into anything, but all of this is available depending on how many hours you want to work with me. There's the green.
Oh yeah, it is a green. Now that you say that, this little like. I wonder if your daughter's like working as we are talking.
Who knows? She should be at her other job though. So, but so a lot of people come to me for career advancement, career growth, for job search and moving into a new opportunity. But I also do a lot of like leadership coaching and then the trauma recovery, toxic workplace recovery. You know, sometimes my clients get amazing new jobs. They're making 30 grand, 40 grand more than they made before. And then all of a sudden they have imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Because they're in a healthy culture and they can't believe this is real.
Yeah.
You know, and so sorry if you hear my dogs.
Is it like a delivery person right now or is it a squirrel? What are we dealing with here, Heather?
It's a delivery. I'm so sorry. This way they're on the
right. No problem at all. And the good thing is, I as a dog owner can appreciate this. Pepper has been really good. There hasn't been any squirrel sightings during, and I realized just right now, I'm like, I didn't even close off the windows. I was like really going without a net for this broadcast because Pepper could have easily said the same thing. So as we wrap up today, Heather, you know, we were talking today about rebranding your website and learned a little bit more about your business. I just want to say thank you so much, Heather. It was a really great conversation. It was good to reconnect, and I hope we have the chance to see each other in person again soon too.
Me too. As soon as I start feeling better, I'll be giving you a call. So thank you everybody for being here and for having me. I really appreciate it.
We appreciate it. And for all of you who are watching, as soon as the video is done playing or you're done listening to the podcast, we'd love it if you could share it along. If you happen to be sharing it on LinkedIn, do make sure that you tag us in the post. Remember to use the little @ tag Heather and tag myself. That way we'll get notified and we'll be sure to comment and build some engagement for you as well as for us. With that said, thank you all so much for watching. We look forward to seeing you on LinkedIn and have a wonderful day. Take care.
Have a wonderful day. Thank you.